All right. Welcome to another episode of D.R.E.A.M.S Podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, stands for discipline, respect, education, accountability, maturation, and success. The gentleman we have on today embodies all of that and more. I look at him as a renaissance man. 9 seasons in the NFL, now an ESPN analyst. I mean, multiple degrees. I mean, hey, he needs no introduction. I'm on here with my beautiful co-host, Mr. Jackie Mitchell. How you doing?
Doing great, man. How you doing, Scott?
Good, good. And our guest of honor, Mr. Byron Chamberlain. What's going on, man?
How you doing, Scott, man? Good to see you again, my brother.
Yeah,
and Jackie, good to meet you for the first time.
Absolutely pleasure. Thank you for joining us today, Byron.
Yeah. No, man, this is awesome. Here again, thank you for your time. And before I'm going to turn it over to Jackie to kind of, ask a couple questions, and we'll bounce back and forth. Just to want to throw a little nugget out there that I don't think Byron even knows that when Byron and I met in 2003, we both played for the Washington Redskins at the time, which is now the Washington Commanders. And you wore number 82. And I wore number 82. So I came into the facility and my locker was moved. And a couple weeks before that, we walked into the facility and it was I was with a group of 4 or 5 people, and it was an offensive lineman. I'll never forget this. And he was like, oh man, he was like, I know these bastards didn't. And I was like, what? He was like, I think they cut me up. And I was like, no, they probably moved your locker. And they cut them. So I come in, and when Byron came to the team, it was like probably week 5 or 6 or something. And
week 5.
Yeah, week 5. Yeah, and they moved they gave him my locker. He was a seniority, and they gave me number 89 and gave him 82, which is his number. Rightfully so.
Well, let's talk about that, because actually that first game I wore number 89, and my first game there with Washington, I think we played Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
and I came in, and they're like, "Listen," I said, "I want number 82." And they were like, well, somebody's wearing that right now, but you could just go take this. Because I came in like during the middle of the week, and I wound up starting that game.
I remember,
really didn't even know the offense. And they was like, just wear this one. We'll change it the next week. So I wound up getting 82. But I got to say this while before we start. I think the reason I'm on this podcast right now is because Scotty, he impressed me because of his work ethic. There's a lot of guys that get in the NFL and they're just coasting on talent or whatever. Scotty was one of them dudes that worked, and that really impressed me. That kind of, he was a cool brother, as you could see. But that was one of the things that impressed me. So that's one of the things that kind of attracted me to him and gravitated me to him, and why we became friends. And so I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you having me on this D.R.E.A.M.S podcast.
No, man, I appreciate that to hear that from someone of your magnitude and what you've accomplished. That means a lot. And definitely, man, I just to finish what I was saying, I thought I got cut. I thought I got cut. They moved my locker. I was like, oh no, they got you, boy. And I looked and I went to I was like, and then the equipment was like, no, we got you down here. And we gave Byron number 82, and got him. So I was like, okay, I don't care what number I got, long as I got a job.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
still got a locker.
It happened. Still got a locker.
Does,
that's
man.
all that matters.
Still got a locker.
Yeah,
my buddy Rod Smith, who I played with, the receiver in Denver, he would always say that. He said, man, the first thing I do when I come into the building every day, and Rod played about 14, 15 years. He said, the first thing I do is look up and see if my name's still on the top of that locker. Hey, it's a real thing, man. It's a real thing.
It's a real thing. And I always talk about that in just in real life. What if we had to live like that in our normal? Because people don't approach their normal jobs like that. What if you had, if you approach your normal job, people who work like a normal 9 to 5, like your job is could get taken at any moment, right? And it's just
Mm-hmm.
it's just
Well,
it's
it's a great mentality to have in whatever you do. If
mm-hmm,
you approach it like I have to do my best, or they're going to bring somebody else in, and we
mm-hmm,
know that in the NFL, they used to every
mm-hmm,
Tuesday, our day off,
mm-hmm,
they bring other people in there to come work out, come try
mm-hmm,
out, and you look at,
mm-hmm.
oh man, they're bringing in another tight end. Oh, they got
Oh
two
yeah.
tight ends every.
Yep,
Hey,
yep.
it could, and don't let you have lost the game before and didn't play well. I mean, you're
Yep.
really nervous.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, but it's a
yeah.
great approach in life, man. It's something
Mm-hmm.
that I've really taken that with me as far as like always doing my best in whatever I'm trying to do.
Definitely, definitely, man. Well, yeah, man. Uh, I'm gonna let Jackie, man, take over. He does an amazing job on the show, like as always. I love to hear him speak, man. So intelligent and smart. Hey, man. I'm blessed to be to be partners with him. I tell you that. I'm
All
glad you're
right.
on my team. I'm
Right.
I'll let you take over, man.
Well, no, man, I appreciate it, Byron. It's an absolute honor, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing those stories. And you're right, man. Me and Scott talk about it all the time. I was very privileged, coming out of college, went to Miami, San Francisco, and Philadelphia. So I know all about the Tuesdays. I know all about the dinner on the Deltas, locker moving, numbers changing.
Hmm.
And it's a part of the process. But one of the things that we always tell people is playing this game, and you know this, it's one of the only jobs where your job is on the line every day. You got to be the best every day. And like you
Mhm.
said, taking that mentality, moving forward, it helps us if we're able to grasp that and use that to our advantage. So I totally agree with you on that. And for segue, man, for segue purposes, for yourself, um, for where you are right now, the things that you are doing. Scotty does a great job of looking up information. And so in
Okay.
doing that, one of the things that Scott brought to the table, which is it's a great addition to things that you're doing, things you are doing. It speaks magnitude to where you are and, and who you are. As of recently, you went back to school. You went
Yes.
back to school. Yes, you went back to school. You went to a prestigious university, Fordham. So you went
Hmm.
back to get that MBA. So where you are right now in life, can you talk about that experience? And previously, what we just spoke about, how does that mindset help you get to that point of getting back to school? Because it's different when you've been out of school for a while. You're going back, um, getting ready, back to studying, back to paperwork, and being, from coast to coast. So talk about that, speak about that, going back to Fordham, receiving your MBA. How was that mindset to get ready and prepare for that?
Well, let me start here by saying I'm that guy that always is looking for a challenge. I'm always the guy that's going to achieve something, and I'm looking for the next mountain to climb. I'm never I'm never going to be complacent. I'm never going to feel comfortable. I don't want to ever be in that comfortable position because I feel like that's when you stop growing as a person. So I'm looking for challenges, and it had always been a goal of mine to get my MBA, get my master's degree. And I always tell people, football kind of got in the way, and life kind of got in the way, but it never. The goal was always there. So it is a lot different. It was different than when you're in undergrad and when you're back at Southern University. I was at the University of Missouri or Wayne State, and you're playing ball. Totally different
Totally.
scenario when you're a grown man. You got kids, you got a family, and things of that sort. But for me, like I said, I love challenges, and I probably did it the hardest way you could possibly do it. I was in class. I didn't do it online. I flew back and forth from Los Angeles to New York and sat in the classroom and did the work. And so I got a bunch of frequent flyer miles out the deal. But yeah,
Yeah.
I took that challenge. It was a really tough challenge because you fly across the country 5 hours and you're jet lagged, but you got to sit in class all day, pay attention, take notes, uh, turn in papers and different assignments. and things of that sort. But the experience was amazing.
Mm.
Like you said, Fordham, one of the top business schools in this country, and just the people that my cohorts that I went through the process with and went through the curriculum with. There's some connections that I made there, that are going to be in my life for life. And so, but it was definitely a challenge trying to balance work, family, the things I do, outside of work and with school, and adding
Mm-hmm.
that in, and still trying to excel at all those things.
Mm-hmm.
But it was an experience like no other. And if anybody's interested in doing that, especially any former players out there, give me a holler, give me a call. I can connect you with Francis Petit. He runs the program there. And there's a lot of there's a few ex NFL guys that went through the program. Robert Griffith, the safety from the Vikings, he went through the program. Right now, John Skelton, the former Arizona Cardinals quarterback, is completing his right now. So there was a few of us that kind of went through the program, and it was cool because we kind of drew strength from each other. We had similar experiences with our time in the NFL, and those guys were some high level guys as well. And so we kind of understand what the other guys going through, and we, like I said, Robert was coming from LA, John was coming from Arizona, so that whole synergy we had together doing that. And so two out of the three of us are completed. I think John graduates next May, so it's that's kind of my experience with that.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So was that was a program through the NFL?
It's not through the NFL, but the NFL pays for it.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL has a program where you can go back to school and get any degree you want to. So if you haven't finished your bachelor's, if you're trying to get a master's, if you're trying to get a PhD, the NFL will pay for that. And so I'm just utilizing the benefits that we go to all these NFLPA meetings and they tell us about all this stuff. Well, I'm one of the guys that actually called them out on it and said, okay, let me try to take advantage of this, I wind up completing my degree in May of this year.
Awesome, man. Well, congratulations, man.
Congratulations.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Thank you.
Like you said, it's totally different when you're playing ball, and you might get a little favoritism from a professor or whatnot, but when you go in there as a grown man, and you're not, sports has nothing to do with it, then it's a different story. That's for sure.
And when you look at my cohorts, I mean, you had guys that are, executives at their companies. You had guys that were, we had the vice president of basketball operations for the Knicks. He was one of my cohorts. We had people that were CEOs of companies that were in my cohort. So it was a lot of people who achieved and people who achieved on a high level. So, and you're in there competing with those guys, but also you're forming bonds with those people, and you're forming connections with those people as well. So,
yeah, definitely your network would definitely expand in that atmosphere. Like they say, your network is your net worth, and being in a room like that with those type of individuals, your net worth will definitely expand. That's for sure. No, definitely, man. Yeah, no, man. I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. Something I didn't know. You grew up in Hawaii, in Honolulu.
That is correct.
Yeah. So growing up in Hawaii in the 70s and 80s, I would think there wasn't too many black people out there, for sure.
We can talk about this all day. No,
but
well, what I tell people is this: the native Hawaiians look just like you and me.
Yes, true. Yep.
So
yep, definitely. Yep.
Unfortunately, colonization has made them not look like you and I. But their ancestors probably wouldn't even recognize them. They'd probably recognize us before they recognize some of these modern day Hawaiians and Polynesians. But Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
growing up in Hawaii was great, man. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you talking about it was a different time back then, and
Mm-hmm.
my parents, my mom probably would have been considered a bad parent because she would just drop me and my brother off at the beach, and we'd stay there all day long, and and come pick
Yeah.
us up at 6 o'clock in that evening.
Yep.
Things like that. My dad was in the Navy, and so there were plenty of African Americans there in Hawaii, and
Mm-hmm.
families and kids that we grew up with, and
Mm-hmm.
we had a guy who wound up living over there and wound up becoming the president of the United States during the time I was there. Barack Obama, who's from
Mm.
Hawaii as well,
Oh wow.
but yeah, it was a good time. It was a great time. Grew up there. I never played football. That was the one thing about Hawaii, is I never got
Mm-hmm.
into football. I did all the water sports, and people ask me, did I surf? Of course. I mean, everybody in Hawaii, if you grew up there,
Mm-hmm.
you surfed and you
Mm-hmm.
swam, and I played golf. My grandfather was a golf instructor, so I learned golf. I learned baseball. Then when we moved to the mainland, we moved to San Diego for a
Mm-hmm.
while,
Mm-hmm.
and once I got to high school,
Mm-hmm.
is when I started playing football. And the reason
Okay.
I started playing football is we moved to Texas.
Mm.
And and once we moved to Texas, they're like, "Hey, man, we play football out here.
Oh yeah,
We
yeah.
don't,
Ain't
we
no
don't
more
do, we don't do,
surfing.
yeah. Hey, we don't do nothing. We don't do nothing else but play football." So,
Yeah,
wind up joining the high school football team, and the rest, they say, is history from there.
yeah. Doing a little research, I saw you broke pretty much every receiving record at your high school. Obviously, that's what attracted the colleges. And so
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's safe to say, like, obviously you probably went out there with no expectations. Like, how did you become so good so fast then?
you know,
Yeah.
it's funny because I was big into sports. Everything. Like I said, I did a lot of water sports. I played, baseball. I played golf. So I had really good hand-eye coordination.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite sports was ping pong. I grew up
Mm,
with a lot of Asians in Hawaii, so
mm,
we played ping pong growing up. So really good
mm,
eye-hand coordination. Um,
mm,
and then the other thing is, just being around the neighborhood or whatever. I love sports. So whether it was pick up basketball or whatever, I was
mm,
doing it. So once I got to football, I didn't really know the game of football, but I had
mm,
a lot of athletic skills that I had developed through playing a lot of other things. I played
mm,
tennis. I did some racquetball. So I
mm,
had some lateral quickness that I could bring to the table. I had a lot of these skills, eye-hand
mm,
coordination. And the other thing is,
mm,
I love to run, so I could run all day.
mm,
So, and that's always an asset when you're playing football. So, quick story. When I got to high school in Texas, like I said, I had never played. I'd never put on a uniform. I didn't know. And literally, there was a guy, Todd McMahon is his name. Todd was probably about 5'2", and he's literally helping me get dressed,
mm.
because I don't know how to put the pads on. I don't know how to. Well, and then back then, that's when you put the pads
Yeah.
in the pants. I'm putting them in
Hip
backwards.
pads.
Yeah,
Mhm.
all that stuff. He literally helped me get dressed for the first game, and my job was, I was the up back for the kickoff. And
Mhm.
so I was the guy that, you get 5 yards from the returner, and I'm yelling go. I'm the go call guy. So, for
Yeah.
the Weds to go, and then you kind of try to find the safety to block. Well, they kicked the ball off. This is the first play, first game. Kicked the ball off, and the returner is waiting there, and I'm 5 yards away, ready for my go call, and the ball hits him in the face mask, rolls right to me, and I can hear people on the sideline, pick it up. So I picked the ball up, literally. This true story, and run right down the middle of the field like Forrest Gump. Right down the middle of the field, no moves, no nothing, just running straight. 95-yard touchdown, the very first
Ooh.
play. of the very first game that I ever played in. I wind up
Yeah.
scoring like 2 more touchdowns after that game. And I was like, man, this football is pretty easy, man. Hey, I mean, it's almost like a Hollywood script, man. The very first play
Yeah.
I'm in, I returned the kickoff 95 yards for a touchdown. It wasn't even supposed to be the
Yeah.
kickoff return. I was supposed to be the blocker.
Yeah. I could just picture hitting the ball and it hits him, and you probably looking around, pick it up.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I never gave a go call.
That's funny, man. That's awesome, man. I'll turn it back over to Jackie, man.
That's a great way to start, man. That's a great way to start.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, and you had to be fast then, Byron. Because
Yeah, definitely.
That's not a short distance.
One of the things I could do, man, I definitely could run. I could run all day back then. And you know, and it was different though, man. And I tell people this all the time. If you're not from Texas, you don't understand the level, the other level that Texas high school football is on. And when I got there as a freshman, I mean, we had guys 280, 290. I'd never seen, high school kids that are in 9th and 10th grade that big. And I'm like, what are they feeding these kids out here? But it's a totally different level. It's a totally different thing than high school, a lot of other places. And a lot of those guys that I competed with in high school in Texas are guys that I played with and against in the NFL. We had one in our locker room, Jesse Armstead.
Jesse
He was a linebacker for us. Yeah. Jesse, I played against him for 4 years in high school. So
University of Miami.
Jeremiah Trotter. He's He's another Texas guy. He was in our locker room as well.
Yeah. Stephen F. Austin, and his son just got drafted to the Eagles.
Yeah, to the Eagles. Yes, and his other son, I think, is
West Virginia.
In West Virginia.
West Virginia. Yeah. I've been keeping up with him. He before I turn over to Jackie, man, just a funny story. But like Jeremiah Trotter, when I first arrived in at Dulles Airport, I arrived there and I didn't have like the rest. They didn't send anybody to pick me up or nothing. I guess if I was somebody else, but so I'm like, and I'm like, dang, what? And just so happened, it was one of his best friends was one of the old linemen, and I played against him in NFL Europe, and we started chatting, and then Trot walked in the airport to and started talking, and he was like, "Oh man, you need a ride?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Where?" I didn't know where. I actually spent the night at his house that night, my first night there, and then went to the facility the next day to where, and then they got me situated, got my apartment. But yeah, they ain't pick your boy up and that. I was so home. Yeah.
Well, that sounds like the Washington Redskins, and that sounds like Jeremiah Trotter.
Yeah, exactly. Good dude for sure.
Good, great guy.
Yeah.
Y'all delivering some first times tonight, so I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I do appreciate it. Absolutely, man. And well, thank you for that information, Byron. And that segue to pretty much the next question as you speak about Jeremiah, because it speaks to his character and speaks about who he is. So for yourself, being there in Denver, having the opportunity to play with some of the Hall of Famers, the John Elways, the Shannon Sharps, the Stephen Atwaters, the Terrell Davises, like how does that give you, I guess, the momentum, but also what did you learn and what type of impact did it have on you?
Well, first of all, when you walk into that locker room, I mean, I just remember being so nervous because that's exactly, what I'm seeing when I'm walking in that locker room. I'm a 7th round pick. I'm 222 overall. And I'm like, on this side of me is John Elway. This side of me is Shannon Sharp, Rod Smith, Ed McCaffrey, Steve Atwater, all these guys and all these names that I had heard of. And so you walk in that locker room and then like there's an expectation. There's a standard here. And it's the reason we won back-to-back Super Bowls in Denver. But those guys who were those leaders of that locker room, and all those guys you mentioned and I mentioned, they would hold you accountable. And so the biggest thing that I learned is, one of the biggest things is about being accountable to your teammates, being accountable to the people that you're working with, understanding that you have a job to do and that everybody depends on you doing your job at a high level in order for us to succeed. And so, we had a saying in that Denver Broncos locker room, and the saying was, "Don't be that guy. Don't be the guy that messes it up for everybody." So if you're the guy that you got outside contain on the kickoff, take pride in that, and make sure nobody gets outside of you. If your job is you're holding for extra points, hey, make sure you're catching that ball and putting it down for the kicker, whatever that job is. Whether you're John Elway and you're the starting quarterback, or you're Terrell Davis and you're the star running back, or whatever, or you're blocking on the backside for, on a wide stretch zone play that's not even coming back to your side, but you're going to do your job as best you can to the best of your ability, because you're accountable to those other guys, those other 10 guys that are doing their job. And that's my biggest takeaway from Denver. The other takeaway is just about being unselfish, being a really good teammate. When I tell you that I've never been a part of a team that was so close, like, I know they have this saying about guys, oh, you don't have to like each other. You got to respect each other, whatever. Like, we liked each other in Denver. We would do things like, a guy would come into the locker room and say, "Hey man, who wants to go bowling?" And like 35, 40 guys show up at a bowling alley. Guy would come in. I remember John Mobley, our linebacker, came in. He's like, "Hey man, I got a foursome at Canterbury golf course. Who wants to play? Meet me at such and such a time." And like 25 guys show up for a foursome. Because but the thing was, we just loved being around each other. Whether it was whether it was on the football field, in the locker room, or just out in the community with our time off, whatever, we just loved being around each other. Our team was so close, and so that was another thing that I took away from that team. But just, you can like each other. You can respect each other, but if you genuinely like each other, you're gonna play hard for those guys. So we had that environment there in Denver, and the last thing, which is I think a real important thing, is our leaders, all those guys that are in the Hall of Fame: Shannon Sharp, Terrell Davis, John Elway, Steve Atwater, Gary Zimmerman. All these guys I played with in Denver who were in the Hall of Fame, that were our leaders in our locker room. They were the hardest workers. They set the tone and they set the standard. They didn't take plays off. They didn't take games off. They didn't take practices off. And John Elway could have, he was John Elway. Like, he could have said, "Hey, I'm going to sit this practice out." He practiced every day with us. His last year, Mike Shanahan decided, okay, let me not burn him out in 2 a day. So you can practice once a day. And everybody knew why he was doing that for John. It was his last year. The guy was a bit older. But, prior to that, he was there for every practice. He was there for every conditioning session. He was the first guy in the building. I'll give you this story about John, and how, like I said, he was the leader, and he led by example. My rookie year, my first day in the building, very first day, we're doing the off-season workout. And so, we go there and they tell us, okay, we're going to have workout groups. You got a 8 o'clock group, you got a 10 o'clock group, and you got a 12 o'clock group. You can come within those three groups for lifting and running. So Terrell Davis and I were rookies together, roommates. And we're like, okay, man, let's go. We're going to go in the 10 o'clock group. We're going to sleep in, and we're going to go over there on the 10 o'clock group. We get there. We're the only guys there. And Rich Tootin was our strength and conditioning coach. When I say he broke us off, he broke us off. He broke us off. Like it's just me and him. So we're lifting and we're running, and he broke us off. All kind of extra running, all kind of extra stuff. And it's to the point where we go in the training room after, and we can't move. We're laying on the training table, exhausted, physically exhausted, can't move. And this is what he comes in, and he comes in the training room, Rich Tootin, and he simply says this. He says, the team works out at 8. John Elway was here at 7, and walks out the room. At that point, we knew exactly what he was saying. He's like, Rookie, you've been here one day. John Elway was here at 7. He was the first guy here. You know, the team worked out at 8. So you get your butt here. So we got the message loud and clear. And best believe we were there about 7:30 the next day.
Wow.
So
that's awesome. It's funny. It's funny you talk about that. Because Jackie just spoke to Southern University's football team this past weekend. They are playing Prairie View down in Texas, and Jackie and I had a quick conversation the day of, and we were just talking about being prepared. And I asked him, how do you prepare? He just said, man, I just let God lead me, and I just pray before I do it. And we started kind of reminiscing a little bit. Just how our 1997 team was, where we won a national championship. And we talked about that. It was funny, you said we genuinely loved each other. When we went out, it was 30 of us. It would be like you just said, hey, we're going to do this. It was just a big pack of us. And we genuinely loved being around each other. And we worked hard together in the summer. All of us went to summer school and trained hard all summer long, and it does something. Those special bonds are created, and those are your best teams, without a question. 100%, like you said.
100%. And those type of teams will be X's and O's all day. Give me a team that's close, that likes each other, that loves each other, that's gonna play for each other, that's gonna be accountable to each other, that don't care about who gets the glory, who scores the touchdowns. I remember one of the most powerful things I ever heard, man. We had just won Super Bowl 32. We had just beaten the Green Bay Packers in San Diego. And it was the Broncos organization's first Super Bowl, John Elway's first Super Bowl. And my locker was in between Shannon Sharps and Rod Smith. And we're in the locker room celebrating. We just won it. And then the media comes in, and they're interviewing Rod Smith right next to me. And one of the guys asked Rod, he says, hey, Rod, are you disappointed that you didn't catch any balls in this game, in this Super Bowl? And Rod was like, literally, he said, fool, we just won the Super Bowl.
Oh.
My Super Bowl ring going to be the same size as John Elway's. My Super Bowl bonus is going to be the same as Shannon Sharp's. You think I care about catching a ball? That, but that was the mentality of our entire team. We didn't care who got the glory. We didn't care who was going to score the touchdowns or about my stats or if I need to catch this many balls. And I played on teams where guys were counting the balls that they were getting and counting the opportunities that they were getting and didn't care about winning or losing. But that team in Denver, that's all we cared about. As long as we'll do whatever, as long as we come out of this game with the dub. If we get the dub, nothing else matters.
We're good. And that's exactly what Jackie said. He said something. He said, Scott, think about this. All the great players we had on our team, name me one superstar. And I was like, dang. I was like, you're right. Because no one cared who got the glory. We just all we cared about was winning. And you're right, man. Those are the teams that are great, man. Just great memories. I'm gonna dive into something slightly different. I was doing a little research. I saw you founded the Byron Chamberlain Foundation in 2000. Kind of talk about that, man. How did that come about, and what kind of impact did it make?
So we had that from about 2000 to about 2008. Then we relaunched it in 2012, and then we kind of let it go. But what it was for me, it was a vehicle to give back. It was a vehicle to partner with other foundations and do some great things. in the community. And we did some
Mhm.
great things, not only there in Denver at the time, but in some other communities here in Los Angeles, where I live now, in
Mhm.
Texas, where I went to high school. Um, the biggest thing for me, like I said, was, I had gotten so much from the game of football. I learned so much, and
Mhm.
I'd gotten so much, and so I really wanted to find a way that we could give back. And one of the things that I saw, um, at the time when I launched this foundation, some of my teammates in Denver, and it's not a bad thing, but we had won 2 Super Bowls, so they were using that celebrity and doing camps, and charging these kids for camps,
Mhm.
and um, and these kids were paying it. They were paying a lot of money to go and learn from these 2-time Super Bowl champion Bronco players, and rightfully so. But I said I wanted to do something where I could do some camps and we could do it for free. We could,
Mhm.
really partner with the community. We could get some of the underprivileged kids uh, that were there in Denver that couldn't pay for those camps, that we could get them there.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so, I put my own money into it. I partnered with a lot of local businesses when we first started it, to host camps at some of the inner city schools, Manual High School in Denver
Yeah.
and Montbello High School in Denver. And I'm proud to say, like, there's some kids that came out of my camps that when they were 8 and 9, 10 years old, that went on to do some great things. One of course, he's still playing. My little brother, Calais Campbell. Calais, I think, was like 8 years old when he first came to my camps, and
Mhm.
and I've got a chance to watch that kid grow and grow
Mhm.
and grow, and
And grow
he's
The
like
up.
six.
the little
And
big brother.
he's like, yeah, he's like 6'9",
Yeah.
was there, was there when he was, thinking of getting recruited and thinking about leaving the state and going to Miami. And he didn't choose Miami because of me, but I definitely encouraged him to go ahead and leave the state, and he did. And he, like I said, won NFL Walter Payton Man of the Year. So I'm very proud of him.
Mhm.
He's always a guy that's going to do the right thing. You saw him a few weeks ago with the
Oh, in
Tyreek
the
Hill
video.
Tyreek.
incident.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, and that's something that pissed me off because he didn't
Mhm.
do anything wrong. He followed all
Mhm.
the instructions that the police asked him to do, and they still threatened to tow his car and put the handcuffs on him. So, but I'm so proud of that. I'm so proud of him, and like I said, he's one of the kids that, man, when he was 8, 9 years old, was coming to my football camps and really
Mhm.
got to. Uh, and I'll tell you, do have a special bond with him, and not only just him, his entire family. Like,
Mhm.
his sister's one of my best friends to this day. His mother, talked to her the other day, um, and the other kid that came out of those camps is Lindell White. He was the
Lindell White,
running back
the
at
running back.
USC. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
USC.
And Lindell was a frequent attendee of our camps, and then once he got to USC and I was here living in LA, he would come over to the house and be able to visit with him and try to give him some guidance and directions and making sure that he
Mhm.
was still working hard, doing the right thing. So those are some of the guys that we really affected their lives. And there's others. Those are
Mhm.
probably the two
Mhm.
the two biggest names that came out of those camps, and as far as
Mhm.
doing some things with football and the things
Yeah.
they did with football. But there was
Mhm.
a lot of kids that we were positively
Mhm.
impact with our foundation, and because we
Mhm.
were able to do things and have different programs for free in the
Mhm.
community, and really partnering with the community to make that happen.
Yeah, that's huge, man. That's awesome to hear. And like you said, there's these camps. There's some kids who can't afford it, right? And so you got to think when you do what you guys were doing and giving these camps for free, and you got to think how many kids could blossom to something great, if they had the opportunity to get taught by someone like yourself or I'm sure some of your teammates
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
joined
and
you,
and
right?
100%. And some of those guys that were charging for these other camps, I'm like, listen,
Mhm.
you guys are coming to my camp. Terrell
Yeah.
Davis, you're coming to my camp. John Mobley, Ed McCaffrey, Rod Smith, you're coming to my camp. and you're
Yeah.
going to coach these kids for free. And
Yeah.
but I had those type of teammates that would show up and participate, and so that was a blessing. One of the other things we did, we one of the things I was really proud of, my sister, my brother-in-law, he's from Ghana. So we had always been talking about doing some things in Africa. And so one of the things we did, we partnered with a company called Souls for Souls. And basically it's for to send shoes to Africa. We filled up a crate. I think we sent like 100,000 pairs of shoes to Africa. And so that was a major accomplishment. That was a major thing that we did. What else? We did some things with Magic Johnson's Foundation, raising money for AIDS and HIV. So it was just a vehicle, man, to just give back and give back to the community, give back to people, and try to use the blessings that I had been given and give it to somebody and bless someone else.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Yeah. I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Mitchell.
Hey man, I'm enjoying just the dialogue of what it's taking to stay there, what it's taking to be there, and like you said, the camaraderie. It's amazing, man, and that's what me and Scott talk about. Because as you know, Scott, me and Scott have been friends for 30 years, Byron.
Mhm.
So I totally understand what you're saying, and playing for one another, being there for one another. There's nothing like it. It's absolutely nothing like it, because hey, I can count on him. And so I totally understand that, man. So leading into the next question is just more so, you've kind of touched base on a few of the things that's in this question, but being drafted 7th round, winning 2 Super Bowls, playing for 9 seasons. Talk about the mindset and the dedication it took to stay in the league that long.
So let me say this, because like Scott, I played in NFL Europe. So I add that season. So I played 10 seasons, man.
You did 10 seasons, buddy.
Hey, and
That's
Scott,
credit,
you know what I'm
baby.
talking
That's
about.
credit, baby. That's credit, baby.
You know what I'm talking about. That season counts. That season
That's
counts.
credit, baby. That's credit.
They do count that too.
Absolutely.
They took a pounding on my body that whole season. So. But when I was and most guys, man, you got some guys when they come out, they're going to be first rounders and they know it. Most guys don't get drafted where they think they should have gotten drafted. When I was coming out of college, there was reports. Good old Mel Kiper, had said I'd probably go somewhere between 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round, as high as the 2nd, as low as 4. So kind of we were thinking about 3rd round, and I got some calls from teams in the 3rd round, Green Bay Packers and New Orleans Saints, but nobody picked me. And so, sitting there all day waiting to hear your name called, you get anxious. You're like, man, is anybody going to choose me? And just hearing my name called by the Broncos, in the 7th round, near the end of the 7th round, I was like, man, okay, I was cool. I was like, okay, man, somebody wants me. Somebody, somebody called my name. So, I wasn't as depressed as I was, as a lot of people would be. I kind of looked at it as a positive. And I was a receiver, and so I was the only receiver they drafted that year. So, I felt kind of good about my chances. But, my mindset when I got there, I'm a guy that makes goals. I'm a goal setter. And that's what I started doing as soon as I walked in that building. I said, okay, my first goal is to make this team. I got to make the team. So I got to do whatever I got to do to make this team. And so, I remember not getting a lot of reps, as a 7th rounder. You don't get a lot of reps. But I was observant, and, I said, okay, they're back then. That's when when I came in the league in '95, we had 5. That's when they had 5 weeks of camp. We got an extra week because we had a new coach. So it was 6 weeks. And you could bring in back then just so many different people, free agents, street guys, whatever. They would just bring in tons of guys. And I would sit there and watch. And I was like, man, they'd be cutting guys right and left. or coaches yelling at guys. And I said, okay, I'm observing. I said, okay, there's two reasons I see that they're yelling at guys, and that they're cutting guys. Number one, they don't know what they're doing. So that means they're not in their playbook. They haven't studied. I said, they literally give you a script. You can look at the plays that they're going to call. Then the next practice, look them up, see what your assignments are. That means you're just not studying, because they give you the cheat sheet. That's number one. Number two, they used to yell at guys for not hustling. If you're not going full speed, they're yelling, hey, get him out there, get somebody else in. And next thing you know, that guy's gone. He's gone. So I'm like, okay, two things. I can study. I can control that. And the other thing is I'm not getting many reps, so I can go 100 miles an hour every rep. Some of those days I was getting 4 reps. I mean, 4 the entire 2-a-day practice. Okay, I got 4 plays. I can go hard for 4 plays because I can chill on the sideline and drink some Gatorade for the rest of the 2 hours. So that was my mindset, and that's how I was like, okay. And anytime they throw me the ball, I'm gonna catch it. I'm gonna know my assignment. I'm gonna make the best of my opportunities. So you asked what that mindset was, and that's exactly what it was. Just control the things that I can control. I can control, what studying my playbook, and I can control my effort. Those are the things I can control. I can't control coach putting me in, but when he does put me in, I'm going to know what to do, and I'm going to go hard. And so that was my mindset, and that's how I reached my first goal of making the team. I got in a practice one time, and it was offense against defense. And the way we did it back then was we didn't, when you're in high school, you run, you do conditioning after practice. And when you're in college, you do conditioning after practice. We didn't do conditioning. Mike Shanahan expected you to be in shape, number one. And if you weren't in shape, he's like, I'm just going to cut you. So we had a practice one day, and he said, okay, offense against defense, for ones against ones. Offense, you got to score a touchdown. And defense, you got to stop them. Whoever loses has got to run. You got to run 10 110s after practice. So the entire defense would have to run 10 110s after practice. Entire offense. So guys start pulling themselves out. Guys were faking hamstring. Oh, my hamstring's sore, coach. I can't go. So. And mind you, let me set the stage. I hadn't been getting a lot of reps, so somehow I get in with the first team offense, and me and Rod Smith get in. Rod is coming off. Rod's a free agent. I'm a 7th round pick at the time, so nobody knows who the hell we are. But we're going against the first team defense, and you can't go for it on 4th down. So 1st down, we run the ball. We might get a yard. 2nd down, I think Elway gets sacked or something. 3rd down, now it's 3rd and 10 or 3rd and whatever, and we're backed up. So we gotta go the length of the field. You can't go for the 1st down. If you don't get a 1st down, defense wins. So I'm playing receiver at the time. I'm playing the Z. They call X deep end. So I'm on the backside running the deep post, the clear out post. We used to call it the stunt dummy route, because you ain't never gonna throw that ball. You're just clearing it. You're clearing it out for the in route
underneath. Yeah.
So, but remember my mentality. I'm going 100 miles an hour every time, and so I run this post, and I run past Ray Crockett, who's the corner, Steve Atwater, who's the safety, and Tyrone Braxton, who's the other safety. Run past them. And Elway throws the ball. Catch it, 80-something yard touchdown. All right? In practice, I catch that ball, go 80-something yards, probably like 83 yards, because he had got sacked one of the plays. And when you saw the entire offense sprint down the field, jump on me like we just won the AFC Championship, going to the Super Bowl, because they were just... All the guys were so happy that we didn't have to run, that the defense had to run. But it was literally the play that got everybody's notice. Like, hey,
Mm.
Who is
Mm.
this guy, man? This guy can play.
Yeah.
This guy might
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
play. And
Mhm.
literally every coach on that field, took notice. My teammates took notice. They were like, okay, we might have a guy that can play here. And that was in
Mhm.
practice, but that was all because of the mentality I told you I took once I
Mm.
got drafted. Like, I can control, me knowing what to do, and I can control me going hard. And I don't care what the route is, whatever, I'm going 100 miles an hour. And so
Mhm.
that was kind of the play that took everybody's notice. And Gary Kubiak told me something uh, a few years back when he was back in coaching in Denver, before he coached them to Super Bowl 50. He said he would take that play, that cut up of that play, when he went to Houston and when he went to Baltimore and came back to Denver. He would take that play and he would show the rookies. He's like, hey, you want to make a team? Do something like this in practice.
Mhm.
And he would, because everybody knows. And Scott, you're a receiver.
Yeah.
When it's X deep in and you're
Oh
running
yeah.
the big post on the backside, they ain't throwing that
Yeah.
ball to you. I mean,
Nope.
99 times out of 100, they're not throwing that ball to you.
No.
But it's that one time, and you need to be going
Mm.
hard that time. So that
Yeah.
was my mentality in camp. The other thing that once I made the team, and then I set my goals as far as my individual goals, like I wanted to make the Pro Bowl. I
Mm.
wanted to be considered one of the best at my position. And I've had a mentor. That's the other thing. That's a great correlation for football and in life. Once you get into the business world or whatever, get a mentor. Find somebody who's already done it, that's already
Absolutely.
navigated those waters. And so, man, I had a big brother, a best friend, a mentor still to this day, Shannon Sharp.
Mm.
And I used to look, and I remember when I was a receiver, and my second year they switched me to tight end. I went to the equipment guy, and I said, "Hey, put my locker." They're changing me to tight end. Put my locker right next to Shannon Sharp's, and so
Mm.
they moved my locker right next to Shannon Sharp. And Shannon didn't notice at the time, but I was like, "This fool's gonna be my mentor, whether he likes it or not, whether he knows it or not, because I'm
Yeah.
about to learn everything from him."
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
great thing about Shannon, man, pulled me over to the side, man. He said, "Listen, man, if you're as good as they say you are, you can help us win. You can help us win a Super Bowl. So I'm gonna teach you everything I know." Shannon was the most unselfish guy, one of the most hardworking guy. But Shannon really took me and showed me how to be a pro, how to
Mm.
be a professional.
Mhm.
How to eat, how to work out, how to dress, everything about the game, how to study. Like, when you first get in there as a rookie, you're watching film, you're just watching football. Okay, here's what we're looking for. When we watch these cut-ups, put your eyes here, put your eyes there. That's what you're gonna read. You're gonna read this front side safety, you're gonna read this front side linebacker, and and then you got to look at the backside safety as well. He's teaching me this. Because I don't. So we would get film from our coach, from the tight end coach, and he might give us three film. Hey, take these home, watch them. We'll talk about these tomorrow. Shannon be like, okay, watch those, and here's three more. Watch these too.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody always saw Shannon because Shannon was a clown, and
Mm-hmm.
he was the guy that he talked a lot, he clowned around a lot. But the reason he could clown is that dude knew exactly what he was doing out there. Like, he would
Mm-hmm.
know his opponent better than that opponent knew himself. And Shannon would pick up little things. I remember we'd watch him, one linebacker, and he'd be like, okay, look at this guy's stance. Now look at his fingers. I'm like, look at his fingers. He's like, yeah, every time he
Light.
does
He
his
said
fingers like
light.
this. No, but every time he started wiggling his fingers, he's blitzing. And then you start
Yes.
looking at it, and you're like, damn, okay.
Keys.
Wow.
Okay, his fingers aren't moving. Okay, he's in coverage. Oh, his fingers are moving.
Wow.
He would pick up little things like that. He would
Yeah.
pick up a guy's stance. Man, his stance is about 6 inches wider. Look at that. You see that? Oh yeah, he's dropping. He's dropping into coverage. You know that.
Wow.
He would literally. And so Shannon taught me how to study things like that, and just how to be a pro. So But going back to the goal I said about being a Pro Bowler, Shannon was already that. Shannon, at the time I got there, I think he had been to 4 Pro Bowls, 5 maybe, and so he had already was having the career that I wanted to have. So he became my mentor. Like I said, just everything about the game, learning it from him, and it literally was something that I was chasing. And once I went to Minnesota and became a full-time starter, had the opportunity to become a Pro Bowl tight end. So my mentality was always about finding, setting goals and finding that next challenge. And we kind of talked about that earlier, even with my NBA situation, finding the next mountain to climb. So you did that. Okay, what are you going to do now? What are you going to do next? Because it's easy to be complacent. It's easy to kind of sit back on your accomplishments. And it's human nature to say, okay, I did this. Okay. Well, that's all you get to talk about because that's all you did. What else are you doing? What else?
Yeah.
What other mountains? What other mountain did you climb?
Yeah.
And so you always got to be evolving. You always got to be competing. You always got to just finding new things to conquer.
Yeah.
But I am proud of that Pro Bowl. I am proud of that Pro Bowl.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah,
I mean,
man.
to me, and when Scott and I played, they played the Pro Bowl in Hawaii, and so that was a big deal for me going back home to Hawaii to play that game and making it there. But it was just a prestigious honor. It's not like it is now. I mean, it's a flag football game now and whatever, but it meant something for a guy to make the Pro Bowl. And you had to be, depending on your position, you had to be top 2 or top 3 at your position in your conference to make it. So that meant a lot to me to say my peers and the coaches and the fans voted for me to be a Pro Bowl. And it's the only, well, no, that's 2. It's 2. It's one of the only trophies that I have displayed at my house. It's sitting right over there. Yeah. But it because it was such a goal.
You're the best at your position, man.
And literally I set that goal year 1, and I wasn't even a starter. I was just a rookie trying to make the team, and then playing special teams, and I set that goal then, and it took me 7 years to achieve it. And so, yeah.
That's awesome. And it just goes to, there's so many, man, just life lessons in that, what you just talked about. And you set the goal, but you focused on the process.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you stayed true to the process. And you saw somebody who was doing it. And like I said, it's not rocket science. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Like you said, find somebody who has what you want, do what they do, and you give yourself an opportunity to get it. And that's just, that's genius by you.
The other thing, like you alluded to, it's about the journey too. Like too many times in today's society, we want this microwave success. We want it right now. I mean, there's a lot of these younger generations. It's funny because you'll see a guy win a game and he's the GOAT. No, man, you won one game, bro. I mean, we're quick to crown people. We're quick to, because I don't know. We just want that instant. Oh, look at this guy. He needs. No, man, you gotta go through the process. And I understood that. I understood like it wasn't gonna be year 1, 2, or 3 for me. I knew that. I knew I was playing behind a great tight end. I knew I was gonna have to get my opportunities when I got them, but I also knew that I had to learn as well what it took and what it and like I said, shout out to Shannon, because there's, when you're competing for the same spot, literally the same position, there's a lot of guys in the league that would not help you.
Absolutely.
They will intentionally try to derail you, sabotage you for real. And I promise you to God, man, Shannon, and that's why we're still close to this day, and that's because, man, that dude was so unselfish. That dude was so just, listen, man, I'm gonna teach you everything I know. And you look at that tight end room that we had in Denver. You had, at one point, you had me, You had Shannon and you had Dwayne Carswell. Well, all three of us were Pro Bowl tight ends, and it's a testament to Shannon. And then he went to Baltimore and mentored Todd Heap, and Todd Heap
Mhm.
became a Pro Bowl tight end. We also had
Mhm.
Desmond Clark, who should have made the Pro Bowl. But he was a really good tight end in the league. And these are guys that, man, Shannon really poured into, really selflessly, and I'm telling you, man, I can't say this enough because I know how I've seen other guys in the league literally sabotage other guys. I've seen
Mhm.
guys tell guys, "Oh, hey," they ask, "What do you got on this?" Oh, you got a corner route when the guy has a post. I'm saying I've
Yeah.
seen that happen, because
Yeah.
he
Throw 'em
wanted
under
him to
the
get
bus.
cussed out. And yeah, I've seen that. I've seen guys say, "Hey, what I got on this?" And the other guy's like, "Oh, hey, man, I don't know," knowing he knows what you got, but he just don't want to tell you. So you can go out
Yeah.
there and screw up, and they can get on
Mhm.
you and cut you and whatever. So I've
Job
seen
on
Yeah.
that.
the
So
line.
I exactly. So I can't say that enough about Shannon because, like I said, we were competing for the exact same position. He was the tight end, but he was also the tiger, which is a lot of people call H back. We played the exact same things, and he literally taught me everything.
That just explains why he's having the success he's having now in his post career as
Yeah,
an analyst, having their podcast, how he's pouring into Ocho, and that explains obviously just being so detail oriented and here again just a team guy. So I mean,
yeah. And,
yeah,
and the other thing about Shannon is nobody, and I tell you, nobody is ever going to outwork that dude. You're not going to outwork him.
yeah, yeah,
If you're gonna work 12 hours, he's gonna work 13. I
yeah,
promise you.
yeah,
And
yeah.
you talked about the discipline. I saw this guy for a couple of decades eat the same lunch and dinner. Shannon, literally, I can tell you what this dude. He's probably eating the same thing now. Shannon every day Shannon eats chicken breast, broccoli, and brown rice. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
and
laughing
and,
because I just. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
and like he literally got me, his chef to meal prep for me back before meal prepping was a thing, and that's what he would fill up my refrigerator with. And I got
Mm.
tired. I got tired over it after. I did it for. I know I did it for about a year, but I got tired of it. And man, Shannon, like his entire in the lake, that's all, and it's the same thing. But he had to say that looking good feels better than food tastes.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, man. He's
Yep.
like, looking good feels better than food tastes. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just do this because I have to eat. So I'm gonna eat the right things because I want to look
Yep.
good, feel good, perform good on the field. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the most disciplined guys I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, that's why he's having such post career success. Um,
Yeah. I was laughing because I just had this conversation about someone in terms of eating and and he was like, "You eat the same thing every day." He said, "Can't nobody eat the same thing every day?" And it was somebody else where he was like, "Can you eat the same thing?" He was like, and I actually, it's ironic. I heard him talk one time, and it changed my mentality. And I never got the chance to meet him, but he said, "Eat. We got to learn to eat for survival and not for
mhm.
pleasure," and that
Yeah.
stuck with me. And so I
Mm.
eat for. So don't get me wrong. I might be out every now and then,
Yeah.
and I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not, but I'm 90-10, 90% clean, and
Yeah.
then 10% I might dabble a little bit, you
Yeah.
know, especially if I'm in Cancun somewhere, and but
Yeah.
uh, but at the end of the day, right? It's about eating for survival, man. It's kind of as we wind it down, man. Obviously, we both played in the NFL. Were you with Ryan Fire too, or no?
I was with Ryan Fire. Yes.
That's what I thought. Yeah, yeah. Same team I played for, and it going there really opened my mind up. You know, for me, a guy grew up in Compton, California, and then went to Louisiana at a Southern University. I had never really traveled much, and
Mm-hmm.
And I remember getting there, man, and just people speaking 4, 5, 6 different languages. People were just so open-minded there, I felt.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw a different world, and it really changed my perspective. And it's perfect, leading to this next segue. I think this is accurate. I don't know. It says, I was looking, doing some research, and I think you've traveled to it says 48 states and about 58 countries, maybe a couple more or so. But you know, kind of tell me what traveling has done for you, and kind of what was some of your favorite places you've been to, and kind of what's
I
next.
I love it. You're doing your research. So, man, I definitely describe myself as a world traveler.
Yeah.
That's 46 states. Um,
Okay.
so I still got 4 more to go. I got New Hampshire. I got the Northeast, so Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and I have to do
Okay.
Alaska. So those are the
Okay.
4 I'm missing to complete my 50. But my ultimate goal is to go do all 50 states and 100 countries.
Mm,
And so right now I'm at 60. I think I need to update that. I think it says
okay.
58
Yeah.
countries,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm at 60 countries, so I got 40 more to go. Uh, and let me tell you this: growing up in Hawaii, we had family here in California, we had family in Texas, uh, and so whenever we had to visit our grandparents or our uncles and aunts or whatever cousins, we had to get on a plane. We had to get on a plane and fly to California or fly to Texas. So as a young child, that really sparked my love for travel. Uh, it really did. And so I was always interested as a child in looking up new places and learning about new places and other countries and things of that sort. Um, and so, when I went to college, I wound up picking University of Missouri because I literally wanted to go somewhere I'd never been before.
Mm,
That was one of my criterias. And I didn't care if I didn't know anybody there. I didn't care how far it was away from home. And so I went to University of Missouri, wound up transferring there for 3 years, uh, went to Wayne State in Nebraska, where I graduated undergrad. But I just always had this love for travel. Um, my parents would, a lot of those states that got checked off at an early age, because my parents would always take us during the summer times, and we'd always just go on vacations and hit different states and different places. We didn't know anybody there, but we'd just be going.
mm,
I remember we did this one massive uh, vacation where we just went. We went. We went to Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, up to the Carolinas, to D.C., over to Ohio, to Michigan, to St. Louis. It was one of the best times I ever had, and I still, that made a real mark on me, visiting all these states during the summertime. And so once I got a chance to travel as an adult, I was taking it. Um, with my parents, we had went to Mexico, we had went to Canada. So once I got to NFL Europe, man, I was trying to see it all. Anytime we
mm.
had some
Yeah.
free time to travel, we were
Yeah.
jumping on the train because everything's so close there. So you could jump on the train,
Absolutely.
and we were in Germany, but you could be in Paris in a few hours.
Hmm.
And so doing that and hitting a lot of states, but that's one of the things that I really enjoyed, and one of the things that once I started playing in the NFL, making some money, I'm like, okay, I can facilitate this and really try to go and see the world, man. And
Hmm.
I'm gonna share you guys this and my inspiration. One of my There's 2 songs that are my inspirations for travel. And one's an old song. It's an old song. Jerry Butler used to sing with Curtis Mayfield, and the song is called Moon River. And there's a simple line in the song. It says 2 drifters off to see the world. There's such a lot of world to see. And I really, like I said, there's so much world to see, and I want to go see it all. And then there's another song that is my motivation for traveling as well, and it's by Nas. And the song by Nas is called Project Windows. So if you ever get a chance, download that song and take a listen to it. But this is one of my main reasons for travel now. And the line in the Nas song, it's called the name of the song is called Project Windows, and Nas is describing what he sees when he looks outside of the project windows. He sees guys playing basketball. He sees guys selling dope. He sees cops. He sees all kind of things going on outside the project windows. And his mother comes up to him, and his mother says, "Go and see the world, and your brothers will follow." And so that's one of my main inspirations for why I travel now is I literally want to go and see the world. I want to share these stories with people and with especially people that look like you and I and inspire them to go follow and go see it for themselves. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of misinformation that we get from a lot of different places and a lot of different sources in this country. I see you, Jackie, and and you never know until you go experience it yourself. I remember people say, "Oh, a perfect situation." I've heard people say, "Oh, you go to Africa, they don't like African Americans." But have you ever been to Africa? Because I've been, and I've got people coming up to me and once they find out from the U.S., they're grabbing my skin and they're like, "Hey, we're brothers. All different parts of Africa that I've been." Yeah. And so, some of the American media outlets might convince you that places are not safe. And then you go over there and you're like, "But I feel safer over here than I feel in LA." There's some parts of LA that I don't even go to. And I feel like, man, I'm gonna get robbed. I'm gonna get my car taken. And there's some places there's places I've been in some countries that people think are not safe, and you're able to walk the streets at night. You're able to do whatever, and people and they see you and they speak and they know you're an American and they treat you cool. So there's some places as a black man where I'm walking and I'm like, and I don't feel disrespected. I feel like a human being. And there's some places in this country that I don't feel that way. You don't get the same treatment. You're gonna be a second class citizen always in some parts of this country. So I'm about that travel life, man. I'm about inspiring my brothers and sisters to do the same as well. So
Well, you're inspiring me.
I'm passionate about traveling, bro. That is one of my passions. That's one of my passions, man. I'm working on something, and I don't want to talk about it right now. But you and I can talk about it offline. But I'm working on something that involves travel, that involves inspiring, brothers and sisters, especially young brothers and sisters, to go and travel. I remember, and this is a quick story, which, like I said, when we moved from Hawaii, we moved to San Diego. So I grew up partially in San Diego as well. And where we lived in San Diego was a place called Bay Vista. It's in Southeast San Diego. And literally you can see the ocean from where I grew up. But it's considered the hood. It's the hood. It's Southeast San Diego. If you don't know about Southeast, ask somebody. But but you can literally see the ocean from it. And the ocean's probably less than 5 miles away. And there's some kids in my community. I remember going back there when I was playing the league, had never been to the ocean. I'm like, you can see it from here. Like, y'all have never been? And so, like, my second year in the league, I wound up renting a van and taking a bunch of kids that grew up in the apartments that I lived in, and we just bust them all to the beach, man, and had a blast. And it was like, oh, y'all never been to the beach?
That's powerful. Powerful.
It was, but for me, it was, like I said, that trying to inspire us to get out of our community. I mean, we gotta protect our communities, but there's more than outside of than just in our communities. There's more of the world to go see, and it literally would change you. It would change your worldview once you travel. To me, I tell my mentees that it's going to make you a complete person to travel and see the world.
Yeah,
it
it
literally,
does.
there's a lot of things that you're missing. There's a lot of views that you only see through this one prism because that's the only side you see. But with anything, there's different perspectives from different places.
I'm gonna let Jackie's gonna ask the final question and wrap it up. It was as he does such a great job doing. But I just had to talk about just really quick NFL Europe, and that's like I said, that's what really opened my mind up. Here again, I didn't know. We're in Dusseldorf, Germany, and 2 hours. We go on a 2-hour car ride. We're in a club in the Netherlands, right?
Yeah, in Amsterdam.
And this is a funny story. My first night, we get to Dusseldorf, Germany. We check into our hotel, and I go down to the pool, swim around Dusseldorf. That's a 14-hour flight. Then I get in a sauna, so I'm sitting in a sauna, and 2 women come in there completely naked.
The co-ed,
they come in there completely naked, and so I'm sitting there like, okay,
it's natural for them, Doc.
So, I know, so I don't know here, I don't know this, right? So
it's the culture,
it's
exactly.
culture, and so one of them asked me. She says, "Excuse me," she says, "Why do you have your shorts on?" I was like, she's like, "I don't know." I said, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" She said, "Well, it's disrespectful. You're not supposed to have your shorts." So I said, okay, well, I don't want to be rude, man. Okay, take them off. She said, yes, take them off. So, and I just sat there naked. That's
so
what it was. That's the culture.
Let me ask you this: when you were in Dusseldorf, where did you guys stay?
The Relaxa. It was called the Relaxa Hotel.
So I think when I was there, they changed the name. It was called the Astron Hotel. I think they changed it to Relaxa. It's a pretty big hotel.
Yeah,
right?
It was. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I spent a lot of time in the steam room and sauna as well over there. And it's just no because I was that's part of my routine or whatever. But yeah, you learn that's part of the culture when you go to when you go to Spain, when you go to the beach in Spain in Barcelona. Everybody's topless. It's just what they do there. Like So different. But like I said, it would change your worldview once you start, and you got to be open. You got to be open to learning about other cultures as well. I tell people, one of the biggest things that I have people that travel with me and a lot of my mentees that go places with me, I say, when you travel, you can't think like an American. Don't think like an American. Like literally be open to other things and understand that you don't have the same rights and freedoms in certain places that you have in America. So don't act like, I'm an American. I can do X, Y, and Z. No, you gotta follow their rules and their laws and all that. So,
yeah, I let you bring us home, Mr. Mitchell.
Man, well, Byron, you don't know this, but Scott knows this. I'm a travel. I love it. When I say I love it, I love it. So, like yourself, I've been to every state except Alaska.
Okay.
I've never counted how many countries I've been, but I've been to many. And to your point, I share with Scott all the time. You're only in America, like you said, being, a black man. And for me, I went to Paris at 16. I was straight from the projects and went to Paris. So that catapulted my whole mindset and set me on a totally different path because I grew up in the projects. And I'm a kid in Paris. I was like, wait a minute. And so from there, I was like, I'm never, when I leave here, I'm never coming back. Nothing against my neighborhood. It's just that I wanted that opportunity, like you say, to learn, to seek, to experience different cultures, to learn new things. But also that traveling is something that no one can ever take from you. They can't take 100%. Those experiences. They can't take those memories. They can't take those relationships that you build. They can't take that authentic food from you. They can't take that experience speaking to someone in the village, sleeping in a hut, being in a thatch roof. Like that's what it's all about for me. So I totally understand.
The culture that you experience. And that's my biggest thing. One of my biggest things is I want to go experience cultures. I want to know why they do things, because we're all basically the same, and we all basically
Exactly.
want the same thing. I always tell people this because I did a lot of work in China. A mother in China wants the same thing that a mother in Compton wants for her kids. They want them
Absolutely.
to be safe. They want them to get a good education. They want them to find a good job and start a family. They want the same things. We just go about it a little bit differently, and we have different customs and different traditions. And so, I'm always interested in learning and learning why. I'm huge on that. Like perfect example. When you go to China, it's the total opposite of here. Like if you go to a restaurant in China, you know what the first thing they give you? Hot water. The first thing they give you at a restaurant here in America is ice water or cold water.
Ice water. Yeah.
They give you hot water there. And I'm like, okay, so I got to find out why they do this. Well, you understand that hot water helps start your digestive system.
Digestive.
It starts
Yes.
it helps start your metabolism as well. And I'm like, man, that's maybe something to this, man. They are the longest living people on the planet overall. And so, but you learn different things like that when you travel. You would have no clue if you've never been to China or someone's never. So I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm gonna give you a suggestion, Jackie. There's a app called Marco Travel, and on Marco Travel you can go in and put in all the countries you've been to. It will spit you out a number. It'll show you like you've been to 60 out of I think there's 212 recognized countries right now, and it'll show you what percentage of the world you've seen. You've seen 7% of the globe or 13% of the globe. And then it'll group them in categories of continents. So it'll show you all the countries in Africa you've been to, all the countries in Europe you've been to, all the countries in South America. So Marco Travel, that's I use that and I keep track of where I've gone and how many countries I've been to.
Man, I appreciate that, Byron, and I put that in my notes along with some other things.
There you go.
But I want to in being where you are now, we know you're ESPN, one of the sports broadcasters. The biggest thing about that is, as you know, you're on this huge median. You get to get out there, you get to talk college sports, you get to be with some of your colleagues, you get to be on a network that is internationally known, being on the ESPN platform. So as an analyst, what do you love best about your job? And it's a two-part question. You answered some of it, but I want to be direct in this. As an analyst, what do you love most about your job? And what would you tell a 21-year-old Byron Chamberlain? What advice would you give?
So let me say this. I have two jobs. So I am an analyst for ESPN, but I'm also the associate athletic director at Cal State LA. But going back, just the analyst part of this. As an analyst, what I love about the job, I love that it keeps me connected to the game of football. I get to study film. I get to keep up on the latest players and the newest players that are coming out. So I get to see some of the guys before they make it to the NFL. I get to see them in college and cover their games and see them before they become big stars. The other part of it too is the travel, man, and just the experiences. So I went to, like, one of the games I did was Syracuse in New York, and it was freezing. But I got to be on that campus. I got to learn the history of Syracuse football. Ernie Davis, Jim Brown,
exactly. Yes,
Jim Brown, the franchise from the Denver Broncos, and his name is escaping me right now. Floyd Little, and just being in that environment, being in it used to be called the Carrier Dome, and experiencing that. And then I went to, I've also had experiences at Florida A&M, at an HBCU, and seeing that culture, and hanging out on game day before the game and seeing what that's like, which was freaking awesome. And if you ever get a chance to go to Florida A&M, I highly advise going to their games. The tailgate parties that they have before the games. Oh my God, the band, the people. If you've never been to HBCU, I'm telling you, Florida A&M is one to go to. Trust me. You thank me later. Thank me later, bro.
Absolutely.
but that part, just being able to travel, meet people across the country. Like I said, different environments, different schools, HBCUs, Power 5 schools, and just staying connected to the game of football. I mean, it's and you guys have played this game, and I know you guys are passionate about it, and you never fall out of love with the game of football.
Yeah.
It's for a lot of us, it was our first love, and so we don't get to play it anymore, but just seeing the next generation of guys coming up playing the game and see how it's advancing, seeing the incredible athletes, and some of these kids, man, you look at what they are able to do at 18, 19, 20 years old, and you're like, man, if I wasn't half that good at that, or that skilled, and they have different types of training, different types of diets that we didn't have, back. And I'm not that old, but it's just the game is evolving, and it always will evolve. And so I appreciate that. I appreciate the new innovations in the game, the new the safety measures that are involved in the game. So all this stuff is a part of being an analyst, and what I love about the game, and what I love about being an analyst. And at the end of the day, just sharing my perspective on the game of football. That's number one. And let me talk about my other job. So I took a job a year ago as well, as the associate athletic director at Cal State LA. And so my primary job is to promote the program, to help raise funds, meet with alumni, meet with donors, and just try to elevate Cal State LA athletics into another atmosphere. And we're doing that over there. We won the President's Cup, the inaugural President's Cup for the CCAA conference, which basically says we're the best athletic department in the conference. We won the national championship in volleyball, Final Four appearance in soccer. We're the number one in the NCAA in the West region in basketball. And so Sweet 16 with the women's soccer. So we're doing some really great things over there at Cal State LA. And Jackie, what do you think one of the things you're going to learn about me, man, is I don't stop, man. I don't stop.
I see.
Like I do a lot. And I figure out a way to try to fit all this in a 24-hour day. Like, and I'm always going to challenge myself. I'm always, I think my mentality, and this is some advice that I would give to my 21-year-old self. I would give to any young man or woman out there. There's a saying, YOLO, you only live once. Well, I've kind of tweaked that saying. My saying is you only die once.
That's it.
So you got to live. You got to live. You got to go do all the things that you want to do, that are your goals, that you plan, that your plans. You got to go make them happen, man. Because you only got this one life to live, and you're only going to die once. So you got to live. You got to live it. You got to challenge yourself. You got to push yourself. You can't be afraid. And I got another thing that I live by. Like, if I'm scared of something, if I'm ever afraid, that means I got to do it. I got to do it. I don't know what in my mentality, but I know it happened. It happened with something when I was 5 years old. I was 5 or 6, and it was about jumping this fence. My brother's 4 years older, and him and his friends used to jump this fence, and they would go play in this. It was a vacant lot, But it was scary because there was a ledge and you had to jump over the ledge and over the fence at the same time. And the fence had like barbed wire over that.
Mm.
And my brothers, they could do it, easily. I was always scared of doing it. And so my brothers knew, like when they would want to ditch me and didn't want to hang out, they would go to that fence and they would jump it because they know I was too scared to jump it. And they go and I just have to go home. And so, but it always would bug me. It would bug me. I'd be like, I will never know all the fun that they're having on the other side unless I conquer this fear. And so I remember one day going there by myself and doing it. And the first time I did it and made it, I'm like, oh, okay, that was easy. It was just some fear that was in my mind that was made up that was telling me that I couldn't do it. So I've taken that lesson from being a kid to say, okay, if there's something that I want to do, that I'm out there, that I'm afraid of, that I have a little fear of, then that means I got to do it. I got to do it. And I literally approach life like that. So that's some advice I'd give to my 21-year-old self. Like, if you feel fear, go do it, and just really live life, because you only get one of them.
Absolutely.
That's it, man.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Byron, let me share something with you, man. Like, this has been major for me. Scott know how I am as, when we connect with people with like minds. But the biggest thing is you hit on so many things, man. And we have a saying that say, live while you're living, because you're dead a long time. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. And I just appreciate, the person you are, not saying anything other than the person that you're becoming, because once again, it's chapters, it's layers, it's chapters, it's layers. And one of the biggest things that I take from this is to never stop growing and never stop going. And
Never.
me and Scott, we're real big on that, because everything is not for everybody. We understand that, but just because it's not for you doesn't mean it's not for me. And that's the mentality and the reality that you have the ability, like you said, the life that you're changing at that university. That's amazing, man. You've taken that same mentality, the winning mentality, the discipline, the accountability, the success. Now you're pouring into these young minds. You're pouring into this athletic department. You're pouring into this funding, and you're reaping the benefits of success. That's not something that's just made up. It's in your DNA. And so, man, for me to you, man, I just thank you for coming on. I thank you for sharing. I thank you for being open and just being to the point of, because me and Stock talk about, this is therapy for us. It really is, and so I appreciate it. And you speak about, like you said, being young, being from Hawaii, getting to see the world, letting that twinkle just take you to places that you probably didn't fathom as a child, but the love of it just kept you going, kept you going, kept you going. To have the support from your parents and your village who was there with you to support what you were doing, man, that just speaks volume. And it takes a village. And the things that you're doing in the community, the things that you're doing at the school, the views and the understanding and the knowledge that you're sharing on that platform of ESPN analysts, man, I just truly thank you for sharing that with us. I thank you for showing up tonight and being a part of something that's near and dear, to me and Scott, but so many alignments. Like, that's what's crazy. So many alignments, and being able to just share, man. I am grateful for the opportunity to have had this conversation, to have learned more about you. And man, that's what I have, Scott, man. So Scott, you got a few words I know you want to say.
Yeah, just man, when we first of all, I want to thank you for your time. Like you said, you don't even know how you do all the things that you do in one day. So for you to bless us with your time, because we're very, very grateful, because we understand that time is, we always say you can get money back, but you can't get time back. So for you to so to that's the most valuable asset out there, and so for you to bless us with your time, extremely grateful. You embody everything we stand for. Like I said, when we started the show, discipline. You were disciplined, and you continue to be disciplined. That's why you've accomplished the things you have. You know, respect. You're well respected because you give respect. Right? Education. You just got a second degree. Just got an MBA. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Accountability because you show up. You continue to show
Mm-hmm.
up, and the most important one, I think they're all important, but maturation. What did you talk about? Always grow, conquering
Always
new
keep growing.
challenges, continue
Mm-hmm.
growing, and that equals success, man. And that's what Dreams Podcast is about. Locker room to reality. Coming out of that, making that transition out of locker room, and still finding a way to thrive. Right once we hit reality and go into the real world, in the real world. And so I leave here tonight inspired. I
Absolutely.
truly am.
Good.
I leave here tonight
Good.
inspired, man. So thank you, man. And that's a wrap on this show, man. So if you want to leave the good people any words, you can. What's your social media handle so
Okay.
they can follow you and be inspired too?
So my social media handles are BC_Chamberlain. My last name CHAMBERLAIN. BC_Chamberlain. That'll get me on Instagram. That'll get me on X, and it's just Byron Chamberlain on LinkedIn and on Facebook. But I want to first of all, I want to thank you, and Jackie. It was great meeting you.
Absolutely.
For sure, man.
Same here.
Thank you, man. It was wonderful meeting you for the first time, Scott. I mean, you're my guy, and we've been trying to put this together for a while. And like you said, just time, But I really wanted to do this, and I'm glad we connected and made this happen. Like I said, Scott, you're one of the guys, man, that I really respected in that locker room when I came to Washington. And it was different for me, man. It was different because like I said, I came in week 5. I was in Minnesota, and they had traded for me. So now I'm coming over there. I didn't do training camp with the guys. I didn't, and I'm just thrown in the middle of the season into the game. So it was good to have guys and friendly faces like you, and guys who kind of welcomed me in. So, and we've stayed friends all these years. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me on your platform and able to tell some of the stories, and that's one of the big things that I want to do with my life, with my time, is find a way to inspire others to achieve greatness, to just achieve anything. And like I said before, I'm a goal setter, so I believe in setting goals. I believe in just going to get them and going to make them happen. And understand this, man. Everything's not going to happen like microwave.
Mm-hmm.
Some things you'll accomplish them right away. Other things you're going to have to put a lot of work in. You're going to have to put a lot of energy in. You're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to be dedicated. It's going to require time. It's going to require energy. It's going to be, you're going to get tired. You're going to want to quit and give up. Anything I've ever done in life that's been worthwhile and worth something, it's been hard. It's never been an easy thing. So just understand that the reward is the journey, is the process. That's part of it, not just the end accomplishment, but part of that journey. And hopefully, while you're in that journey, while you're going through that, you're growing as a person. So that's all I got for tonight. But thank you guys. I really, really 100% appreciate you having me on your platform.
Definitely, man. Well, that's a wrap, man. And from our locker room to the world, we want to thank you guys for tuning in. Go like and subscribe. We're going to continue to bring on amazing people like Mr. Byron Chamberlain that can inspire the world. And so that's what it's about, man, about us lifting each other up and continue to inspire each other. So another episode here in the books, man. You guys have a wonderful night.
Absolutely. Thank you once. Thanks, Byron.
Thank you.
Thank you.